Thanks so much for choosing us to study with today.
Welcome to Eastland English. I am Yudee.
And I'm Robert. This is our intermediate English conversation test number 5. You can use this video as either a listening test or a reading test. If you want to try this as a listening test, close your eyes every time you hear a new number or see a new slide. Directions.
Choose the best response to the second speaker.
Number 1.
Have you ever visited the USA?
No, I haven't. What's the weather like there? A.
Yes, I like the weather very much.
B.
It's a huge country. The weather is different everywhere.
C.
I do not know whether I will visit there or not.
D.
There is not any weather there. You'll be fine.
In the first dialogue, the most important word in Mike's question is the word weather. Weather is a very common topic for small talk. If you are taking this as a reading test, you will probably notice in answer C, weather is spelled differently. When the word weather is spelled W-H-E-T-H-E-R, it means something very different than the word W-E-A-T-H-E-R. The word in choice C means if. On the other hand, the word weather in Mike's question refers to things like rain and snow and heat and cold. So C is not the best answer. Now we know what weather is in the question. Yudee, have you ever visited anywhere where there is no weather?
Absolutely not. That is impossible.
Right. D can't possibly be true. We're left with choices A and B. What's the key word here, Yudee?
The word like in Mike's question.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean enjoy, does it?
No, it doesn't. In this context, it means similar to. In answer A, it means enjoy. Sandy's response in A was that she enjoys the weather in the USA, but that's not exactly the question. Mike didn't ask whether or not she enjoys it. He asked, what's the weather like, meaning similar to, and that means describe the weather. Answer B is the best response. She doesn't exactly describe the weather, but she does say the weather is different everywhere, which is the best answer to this question. B is the best choice. Let's hear the dialogue the way it should be.
Have you ever visited the USA?
No, I haven't. What's the weather like there?
It's a huge country. The weather is different everywhere. Number 2.
Next year, I may take a trip around the world.
Fantastic! If you do, would you share your experiences on social media? A.
Yes, I have started a travel blog. I would upload photos and stories weekly.
B.
No, I have no idea how to download videos and files.
C.
I am traveling across the USA first, and then I am meeting my friends in Mexico.
D.
Social media is a popular form of communication these days. Let's look at the term social media first. Most of you are very familiar with social media because you are probably enjoying this video on social media right now. YouTube is an example of social media. So is Facebook. And there are many apps and platforms designed to help people get together and share their ideas. Answer D is an observation about social media. Even though it's an accurate observation, it is not a good answer to the specific question. The specific question is whether or not he will share his experiences.
Answer C is just telling what he is going to do, right?
Correct. It's an interesting itinerary or travel plan, but it doesn't yet answer the question. C is also out. Next, we have to look at the technical aspect of how to share online files. If you have watched some of our other videos, you will have learned by now that we upload files to the internet and download files from the internet. Because Jerry is the originator of the content, or the person creating the content, he would need to upload his videos, not download them. Therefore, his knowing how to download videos won't make a difference. Jerry would need to upload his files. That's what makes A the best answer.
Let's hear dialogue number 2.
Next year, I may take a trip around the world.
Fantastic! If you do, would you share your experiences on social media?
Yes, I have started a travel blog. I would upload photos and stories weekly. Number 3.
Thanks for inviting me to this restaurant. I have always wanted to eat here.
No problem. Have you had anything to eat yet? A.
Yes, I have eaten at this restaurant quite often.
B.
I have eaten once or twice yesterday.
C.
I will eat at this restaurant again for sure.
D.
I haven't. What do you recommend?
In this situation, Frank has invited Doris out for a meal. He wants to be friendly, so he opens with a little small talk. Have you had anything to eat yet? It's just a nice way of setting the stage for having a meal. If you notice from the present perfect tense of the question, it refers to the past, not the future.
Will in choice C is the future tense.
Right, she's referring to the future, he's referring to the past. C is not good. Because this is small talk right before the meal, he's not talking about the distant past. He's talking about today. Even though yesterday is not the distant past, it's distant enough in this scenario. He wants to know if she's hungry. Most people eat every day, so B is not the best answer, especially in this context. A answers a different question than he's asking. It may be a good answer if he has asked, "Have you eaten here before?" Then A would be the best answer. There's another part of answer A that makes this incorrect. In choice A, she says that she has eaten at this restaurant quite often. However, in her second sentence, she says, "I have always wanted to eat here," which means she's never eaten here. Now let's hear this dialogue the way it should be.
Thanks for inviting me to this restaurant. I have always wanted to eat here.
No problem. Have you had anything to eat yet?
I haven't. What do you recommend?
Number 4.
Look, we just got an invitation to a party this Saturday.
The invitation to the party says BYOB on it. What does that mean? A.
It means that we should all bring something delicious to eat.
B.
I think it means that we should all try to be on time.
C.
Everyone should bring their own drinks.
D.
It's okay, we can each bring a buddy to the party.
You will notice if you are taking this as a reading test that the BYOB are all capital letters. Sometimes you will see BYOB with periods or full stops after each letter. Both of these versions are acceptable nowadays. So it's an invitation to a party. All of the answers are appropriate responses to a question about a party, but only one of them is an appropriate response to what does BYOB mean. Let's ask Yudee. Yudee, what does B stand for?
B stands for bring.
Let's look again at the responses and see if we can eliminate any of them.
Yes, eliminate B because I don't see the word bring.
B doesn't have bring, but A, C, and D all do. Let's have a look at the next letters. What does Y stand for?
It stands for your.
And how about O?
It stands for own.
Okay, great. So now we have BYO, bring your own. Can you think of a good food word that begins with B?
I don't know, brunch.
Oh, brunch does work. It is a meal, but it's not a meal that you bring to a party. A is out. Now we have C and D. Bring your own buddy? Well, that could work. However, it doesn't. B does not stand for buddy. How can the letter B in BYOB mean drinks?
It means bottle.
Oh, most drinks are in bottles, of course. So BYOB stands for bring your own bottle. C is the best answer. Let's hear dialogue number 4.
Look, we just got an invitation to a party this Saturday.
The invitation to the party says BYOB on it. What does that mean?
Everyone should bring their own drinks. Number 5.
Gosh, the world sure has changed a lot recently.
I know. Did you know the Olympics were postponed last year due to the pandemic? A.
I am sorry to hear that. I guess there were no medals last year.
B.
That's too bad. Some of my best friends are going to the pandemic.
C.
Many athletes competed. The Olympics are going ahead early.
D.
I would like to post about the Olympics last year, so that's good. There are several keywords that I'd like to look at, but the first one is the word pandemic. You are likely all familiar with this word now. That means you should probably know the word or have heard the word many times. The coronavirus outbreak is an example of a pandemic. It's a viral contagion that infects and harms many people, and it spreads around the world. That's what pandemic means. In answer B, Charles responds that his best friends are going to the pandemic? Not likely. For that reason alone, we can delete answer B. In answer B, Charles begins correctly. He says, "That's too bad." That short sentence is a good way to say, "That's a pity," or "I feel sorry about that." On the other hand, the second part of his response is simply not correct. The next keyword is postponed.
Postponed means delayed.
Correct, or another way of saying that is put off until later. If it was put off until later, it cannot have happened then. Let's look at answer C. It begins by saying they have already happened because the athletes competed, verb 2, and then he goes on to say that they are going ahead early, which is the exact opposite of delayed. C is not right. In answer D, Charles says that he would like to post about the Olympics, and that means to put something on the internet, maybe a story or some photos. It's a very different meaning from postpone. Furthermore, in answer D, Charles uses would before verb 1. Together with would, it implies the future tense, not the past tense. He mixes that with a time clue, last year. It is possible to post about a past event in the future, but Lucy said they were postponed. They didn't happen last year. A is the best choice. Before we read you this dialogue, I'd like to look at one last word. It's actually the first word, gosh. Gosh is a polite interjection. Many people use the word God in daily speech. However, there are some people from some religious groups that are offended if you use the word God in a day-to-day context. Gosh is a nice way of using an interjection without using the word God in your sentence. In this manner, you can avoid offending some people.
The conversation for number 5 should be,
Gosh, the world sure has changed a lot recently.
I know. Did you know the Olympics were postponed last year due to the pandemic?
I'm sorry to hear that. I guess there were no medals last year. Number 6.
Hey, Tom, what did you do last night?
I watched a survival documentary on the internet about 3 boys who got lost at sea. A.
I think that documentaries can be found online too.
B.
True stories are an interesting form of entertainment. They are exactly like novels.
C.
Getting lost on the ocean is extremely challenging. Did they survive?
D.
I think I saw that one. Fiction is fascinating to me.
In this dialogue, Vicky is just asking Tom what he did, and Tom mentions that he saw a documentary on the internet. In answer A, Vicky uses the term online. The internet is a noun. Online is an adverb meaning on the internet. Next, she says to. This one syllable or one small word at the end of the sentence makes A incorrect, because he already said he saw it on the internet, and she mentions that documentaries can be found on the internet too, but there is no other thing. It's the same thing. A is also not the best choice because Vicky is not actually adding anything to the conversation. She's just saying a fact. A is not the best choice. Our next keyword is the word documentary. And what's a documentary, Yudee?
It's a true story, right?
Yes, a documentary is all facts. In answer B, Vicky mentions that true stories are interesting to her. Great. That part is correct. However, she then goes on to say they are exactly like novels. Novels are pure fiction, which means they are not true at all. B is not right. Fiction is the opposite of fact. In answer D, Vicky says fiction is fascinating to her. Documentaries are based entirely on facts. Fiction is based entirely on the imagination. D is also not right. The best answer is answer C. Let's hear dialogue number 6.
Hey Tom, what did you do last night?
I watched a survival documentary on the internet about 3 boys who got lost at sea.
Getting lost on the ocean is extremely challenging. Did they survive? Number 7.
I volunteered at a refugee camp last year. My job was to help them get safe water.
Wow, cool. Do you know who invented the machine that cleans the water? A.
There is a machine that makes the water safe to drink.
B.
It's my invention. I make products to help keep people healthy.
C.
I do. It is right next to the water, so everyone from the camp can use it.
D.
Clean water is essential. Everybody needs a safe water supply. All of this dialogue is in regard to safe water for refugees. All of the answers relate to that. So we must look elsewhere. Our first key word is the word machine. Theresa wants specific information about the water filter. Answer D does not answer that question. Instead, it provides 2 very obviously true facts, just not good responses to the question. Who is the next keyword? In answer A, Reggie says that he knows there is a machine but doesn't answer the question of who invented it. A is not correct. Both A and C begin with a positive response. Means the same as yes. Same with I do in answer C. So far, so good. However, in answer A, he simply says there is a machine. In answer C, he tells Theresa where the machine is, right next to the water. B is the only response that answers the question of who. Reggie is the person who invented the machine.
Let's hear dialogue 7.
I volunteered at a refugee camp last year. My job was to help them get safe water.
Wow, cool. Do you know who invented the machine that cleans the water?
It's my invention. I make products to help keep people healthy. Number 8.
When did you start studying English?
I took my first English class in high school. What about you? A.
I first took courses in grade school, but most people in my country begin to learn in high school.
B.
Yes, I really like studying English. I want to learn as much as I can.
C.
I went to high school too. It was right next to my home.
D.
I also began to learn when I was in my school. I started in kindergarten with the ABC song.
Let's begin by looking at Kenny's question. What about you? With that kind of question, we must refer back to the last thing that Kenny said. In choice C, Carla says that she went to high school too. This is true for most people. However, she then mentions the fact that it was right next to her home. Response C answers the question of where her high school was, not when she began to study English. Next, we'll underline the word kindergarten in response D. Even though response D does answer the question of when she began her English classes, the word kindergarten means preschool or school for very young children. So we must go back and look at the beginning of answer D when she says, I also began. This answer uses the trick of sound. The words my school sound a little bit like high school. This is a common trick in listening tests where they will use words that sound very similar to the words in the stem. But my school is not the same as high school. You also have the second clue, the word kindergarten. D is not correct. In answer B, Carla is providing nice conversation. She's mentioning that she has enthusiasm for learning English. That means she really likes English, which is great and does belong in this conversation, but not at this point in the conversation. Maybe later. Kenny wants to know when she took her first English class. A is the best choice. Next, we'll hear dialogue number 8 the way it should be.
When did you start studying English?
I took my first English class in high school. What about you?
I first took courses in grade school, but most people in my country begin to learn in high school.
Number 9.
This English course is so fun. I've met a lot of new friends here.
Our course is finishing next week. Let's have an end of course party. A.
I would love to, but the course is ending next week.
B.
Yes, that sounds great. Let's get ready to start our course next week.
C.
We always have a party before the course. I am glad you agree.
D.
Sure. What kind of celebration do you have in mind?
Some of you may realize this is a picture of teachers Robert and Yudee, not Dan and Kay. So Dan and Kay would be the students in this class. Kay is having a great time, so is Dan, so they want to have a party. Dan is suggesting to Kay that they have an end of course party. In answer B, Kay agrees and then says the course is starting next week. That can't be right. Similarly, in answer C, the timeline is wrong. In answer C, Kay is suggesting they have a party before the course, but according to both of them, the course has already begun. C has no internal logic, which means it doesn't make sense. Furthermore, Dan can't possibly agree if she's not making sense. All of C is wrong. In both answers A and D, Kay has an initial positive response. I would love to and sure. Both of them mean yes. However, in answer A, there's a keyword but. As you know from studying with us at Eastland English and from all textbooks everywhere about coordinating conjunctions, but joins two opposing clauses or two opposite ideas. According to Dan, the reason to have the party is because the course is ending next week, and she is suggesting That's a reason not to have the party. A is wrong. In answer D, Kay not only agrees with sure, but she also asks what kind of celebration. And that means what kind of party. What kind of celebration do you have in mind means what kind of party are you thinking about. Now let's hear dialogue 9 the way it should be.
This English course is so fun. I've met a lot of new friends here.
Our course is finishing next week. Let's have an end of course party.
Sure, what kind of celebration do you have in mind? Number 10.
It's really difficult to find a job these days.
What kind of job are you looking for? A.
I would like to be a computer program because I do not want to work outdoors.
B.
I have always wanted to be a journalist and tell the facts.
C.
A nurse takes care of patients and helps doctors at the hospital.
D.
I am going to wait at the restaurant for my friends this afternoon. The word computer program in answer A is not a job. You need an MER at the end of program to make it a job title. If you are taking this as a reading test, you probably spotted this right away. But for a listener, it's a little bit more difficult. There's one syllable missing from this term for it to be a job. Computer program is the software. A computer programmer with an MER at the end could be a job. A is incorrect. In choice C, Steve talks about the job of a nurse. He mentions 2 facts about what a nurse does. Even though these facts are correct and they do talk about a kind of job, Carolina was specifically asking what kind of job Steve wants. Answer C simply tells about a job and doesn't mention an opinion as to whether or not he wants that job. For that reason, C is incorrect. When we look at answer D, we see the words to wait. That could be a job at a restaurant. To wait at a restaurant could mean to be a waiter at a restaurant. However, when he adds the preposition for and the time clue this afternoon, we now know that what he means is he's going to rest there until his friends come and not serve as a waiter. D is also wrong. B offers his opinion about what kind of job he wants and a little bit more about what a journalist does. B is the best choice. Before we hear the final dialogue, I'd like to let you know that we know it's very difficult to find a job nowadays. So if you're looking for a job, keep your English studies going. You will find a job much more easily if you can speak English well.
Now, let's hear the final dialogue.
It's really difficult to find a job these days.
What kind of job are you looking for?
I have always wanted to be a journalist and tell the facts.
Thanks for learning with us today.
We hope you enjoyed yourself and learned some new phrases.
Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
Don't forget to click the button for notifications. That way you will know every time we make a new video. See you next time.
See you around.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.